Okay. Um, so I am live. Let's get these puppies on. So, today we are doing voice work. Hopefully, I do everyone proud. I saw a few options out today. We're going to start with a little warm up. Uh, this is my first thing that I like doing. It's the 7 by Peter Newman. I always like doing the first page because it allows for like some real dramatic girth to it. So I figured I'd give it a shot, you know? This is The 7 by Peter Newman. Chapter 1. Alpha of the 7 stands alone in an alcove encased in rock that is eggshell thin, a fragile prison made of grief, of stone tears that flow briefly, hardening, smothering. For 1,000 years, he and his siblings have dwelled in their chamber, wallowing, their gaze turned inward, falling further and further from humanity. It was not always this way. Once, when the breach first stirred, they sent their sister, Gamma, to aid their people. It was her time to shine, to do the Creator's will, to do glorious battle against the Infernal. But there was no glory, only death. When Gamma did not return, the 7 wept anew. A river of tears for the life that should have been endless. And when a lowly vagrant returned, Gamma's living sword, the relic, had changed. They offered it rest at their side, and it rejected them. It judged them. So they retreated from pain and grief, returning to a haven of memories. That was The 7 by Peter Newman. Give me just 1 second. I realized something. Being a dingus and whatnot. It's fun. So, the next one I want to do, I got some reviews and I looked at some stuff briefly. The next one I wanted to do was actually recommended to me on Instagram, called The Huntress. Huntress short story. If you're liking any of this, by the way, like it, share it, bop it. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm okay. I'm good. We're good. We're good. Little Joe. Oh, bless. Today we will be doing The Huntress by Sophia Samatar? Samatar? I believe it's Samatar. We're going to go with it. For fear of the huntress, the city closed like an eye. Only my window stayed open because, as a foreigner, I didn't know better. In the morning, poor children would scrub the stains from the roof. Now the rain-dark head came down and rested on the dome of the embassy. The moon shed feathers of light as if molting. In the morning, the eaves would drip with pinkish foam. A stench of fur came in at the window. I went to slam it shut, but instead I stood there. Fingers gripping the edge of the frame. I closed my eyes in the searching heat. All over the city, people were taking shelter in their cellars and under their beds. Once there were 2 children, and they were the only ones on their block who kept the passion for monsters after they grew up. The only ones? Why should that be? Our dad used to tell us stories of camel herding. He would scare us by mimicking the sound of a lion. This lion didn't sound like any lion from movies or games or anything. It had a whining hunger. It was a tenor lion. Her prowler's voice surprisingly high and small, like a question. All over the city, people were covering their heads. The leaves outside my window shrank and smoked. Exiles and insomniacs share this feeling, that each is the only one. I feel like I'm turning into this fierce person, a taskmaster to myself, like a ballet dancer or a monk. Are monks happy? No, they are not interested in that category of feeling. But I'm supposed to be. I'm an American. The huntress left dark patches wherever she passed. She left a streak in the morning. The hotel staff would find me unconscious, gummed to the floor. The proprietor weeping, for nothing like this had ever happened in his establishment. Nothing. Had I not read the instructions on the desk? The fierceness can be seen round the mouth. I compress my lips when I'm thinking. Our dad was the same way. In the morning, the staff would run me a bath. Now the huntress bent to my window, but she was not there to feed. she was there as a witness. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. I like that. That makes you get all the goosities. Yeah, it has a nice little feel to it. Give you a shake. So let's see. The next one. The next one would be I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of this one, but the title of it is I Don't Need Anything from Here. Okay. I will put in the description his information, but his last name is wild to say the least. But this is a piece of I don't need anything from here. I would leave everything here. The valleys, the hills, the paths, and the jaybirds from the garden. I would leave here the petcocks and the padres. Heaven and earth, spring and fall. I would leave here the exit routes, the evenings in the kitchen, the last amorous gaze, and all of the city-bound directions that make you shudder. I would leave here the thick twilight falling upon the land, gravity, hope, enchantment, tranquility. I would leave here those beloved and those close to me, everything that touched me, everything that shocked me, fascinated, and uplifted me. I would leave here the noble, the benevolent, the peasant, and the demonically beautiful. I would leave here the budding sprout. Every birth and existence. I would leave here incantation, enigma, distance, inexhaustibility, and the intoxication of eternity. For here, I would leave this earth, and these stars, because I would not take them with me from here, because I've looked into what's coming, and I don't need anything from here. Excellent, excellent. Did anybody have any other recommendations? The link is, oh no. Interesting. We're going to keep going. Somebody, I guess, is looking at this, watching it. We're going to keep going. We're going to see what happens. We're actually going to go into some interesting paths. We're going to go to Tumblr. Tumblr for short stories. It'll be great. We're going to have fun. I'm only going to cry twice. We're going to see how well these turn out. So, I noticed some people are watching. If you could comment, letting me know that everything's good on your end, I'd really appreciate it. This one doesn't have a title, but we're going to go with it. This is from Sulfur Streamscapes. Or Sulfurious Dreamscapes. I think that's what it is. Anyway. The police let my pianist dad, go after I convinced them that he was crazy. They warned me that the next time he's found breaking into a fire, he'll be arrested. I assured them that would never happen, and I did my best to smile on the way out. While Dad scratched his grey-white stubble, I lit up my face, my first cigarette in 5 months. Went Dad. He was going to say something, but I glared at him. Didn't say nothing. Some big guy with a crew cut approaches us and stuck his hand in his pocket. Looks like they let you go, he said. I recognized him. He looked so different without his khaki fluorescent uniform. He was the fucking guy who called the cops on my dad in the first place. What do you want? I asked, looking at the traffic. He didn't answer right away. Seconds later, oh, you mean me? Thought you were asking your dad. Here's the one you need to ask anyway. None of your business, Dad grumbled and tugged at my elbow. I blew the smoke out, eyes shut tight as I composed my thoughts and told myself not to snap indiscriminately. Just saying. The firefighter shook his head and turned around to return to the parking lot. I watched his figure recede and then turn the corner, disappearing from my sight altogether. You think I'm enjoying this bullshit? I said, without turning to Dad. That was how these things began. Even when I was little, he wouldn't even look at me when he snapped. He'd be too busy looking at the piano keys. The composition is not bullshit, he said. It's a work of art. It needs to be realized. It's a joke. You're a joke. And I am a joke. I shook my head. Well, obviously, he said, going a touch lower. You are doing so well with the no smoking thing. This is why I can't have kids, Dad. I glare at him again. Managing you is worse than babysitting twin toddlers. At least they wouldn't break into scenes of fire just to play a goddamn piano. It's the only way to play the composition. You don't understand. It has to be in a burning building. Do you know what those absolute freaks at the Academy do? They play it as it is. Some of them use samples of fire sounds. It's a disgrace to his legacy. I can't believe a dead French composer is trying to get you killed. I don't even know who is bigger idiot here. I crushed the cigarette as our cab arrived. If I get killed, then so be it. At least I will have fulfilled his vision. Doesn't an old genius deserve that much at least? I held the door open for a few moments, stared at my dad as the first drop of rain fell on his nose and slipped right off. Who are you even talking about? Do you know? Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. Is there any short fiction? That's a good one. By the way, just so anyone knows, these are like 100% blind. I am just going about this hoping something sticks. This sounds interesting. We're going to start it off. If you cry for nothing, what will you die for? It was a quote I remembered my grandfather saying as early as I could understand words. Being the overly passionate type, when he got him into something, he got into it completely, immersing himself into whatever subject he was researching. People always admired him for his tenacity. I'm a lot like him in some ways. We both have chestnut hair that somehow tangles more when we brush it. We have a confusing taste in books. Second person is the preference. But most importantly, we both have zero patience whatsoever. I'm clutching my necklace in my hands, intertwining the strings with my fingers and focusing on the familiar words. I can hear him saying it, like he lives on within all he knew in life. I raise my chin to be level with the floor. I smile and lick my lips, beginning to move forward. I let my arm fall to my side in fists. I hear again the phrase break into a jog, then run, then sprint. There's nothing without him. I feel a wave of something unpleasant come over me. What if he dies before I get there? It's entirely possible. Why didn't I think of it like that? Of course, the universe isn't going to bend over backwards for me when it can so easily shove a shiv in my throat. What if he dies? What if he lies there, forced to hear his own pulse repeated on a machine, wondering where I am, whether or not I'm still mad at him? Of course I'm not still mad at him. I was never in the first place. God! I need to see him. I swing open my car door. I weave in and out of traffic. I break speed limits. I arrive at the hospital. I rush to the room. He told me he's in. Even though I was running a mile a minute in my head, I freeze at the door handle. I breathe in. I breathe out. I stand up a little straighter. Tears already prickling up my eyes. I have to do this. So I do. That was some flash fiction by Fanboys Still Exist. Interesting name. Good job, Fanboys. These posts are all on Tumblr. If you look any of these people up, by all means, go ahead. Let's see. We shall find... Oh, here's a good one. This is from Dreamscapes again. No one goes to the park at 3:30 a.m. when it's raining, unless you're someone as addled as me. That is why the man on the bench caught me off guard. I could see the rain dance off his hat, but I couldn't quite make out more from how far away I was. It's not always a good idea to approach strangers, so I continued walking down the path. When I reached the bench, I found that a man was completely covered in rain. He was invisible, and I could only make out his figure through the rain under the park light. "Oh, hello," he said and turned towards me. I was still frozen in my tracks. Don't be afraid. Pleasant day today." He tipped his hat at me. The clouds rumbled in the distance, and the blue flashes lit up the sky. A denser sheet of rain came down, and the pattering on my umbrella grew louder. I took a few steps towards the man. "You seem like the apprehensive sort," the man remarked. "Won't do to be like that. You need to be more assertive if you want to get ahead in life." I began to speak, but ended up croaking, so I cleared my throat at first. "Are you for real?" was the best I could manage. "No. Are you?" The man replied without missing a beat. I walked on, passing the man by. I looked behind my shoulder several times, but the man just sat there, under the yellow light, his silhouette only visible thanks to the rain. On my second lap, I found the man was tapping his feet and nodding. I passed him again. On my third lap, I felt I couldn't keep it in any longer. "Excuse me," I said. "But do you realize that you're invisible?" "No, I don't," the man replied. "And what about you?" I'm sorry." Do you realize you're invisible? I'm not invisible. I looked at my own body and my umbrella, and nothing invisible about me. Oh God. Then we're kindred spirits, the man said. Aren't you tired yet? Have a seat on the bench. Rest your weary souls some. I approached the bench, but it was slick and wet. I can't sit here, I said. It's wet. You do know it's raining, right? No, I don't know that, actually, the man said. Do you? Of course I know it's raining, I said. I can feel it on my hand. Here, I held out my left hand out of the umbrella and watched it get drenched in drops of water. He held out his hand too, and the water bounced off it. It was the only way I could tell that he had extended his hand at all. Are we still kindred spirits? I asked. We are right? I don't want to be alone. The man shook his head and laughed. I told you. You're too apprehensive for your own good. You need to be more assertive in life. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. What else do we got here? I have somebody watching. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Hey, there it is. I can see those commentary. There we go. Oh, that's better. Okay. This was being a bit of a butt. Wee bit of a booty. So that being said, let's find another, shall we? Shall we? So let's see. Any other recommendations, comments, questions, concerns? Let's see. Do 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 do. Ooh, I know what I'd like to do. there is a um, there's a poet that I listen to a lot. He's one of my favorites. I like doing some of his work. Um, let's see. Let me double check some of the lyrics, and then I will make some commentary. Okay. Discretion. This is sad. Um, that being said, time to roll up some sleeves. Get to cracking. This is Future Tense by Neil Hilborn. And when your fourth love leaves you, you will want to kill yourself, but you won't. Because you no longer think of suicide as a house you will build one day. Your fourth love, who is your first real love, who brought you peace when your whole body was a gun. When she leaves you, ask your roommates to hide the knives because you will carve her name into all the food in your fridge. Stop showering. Warmth will remind you of her. Expletive. Scratch. Try to burn her clothes. Try to fall in love with strangers. Try to fall asleep without her. Open the windows. She would have wanted them closed. Turn off the radio. She can't sleep without noise. You can't sleep without noise, but noise will sound like her, whispering you into a world of lights and breakfast. Make the rain sound like nothing. Make the rain sound nothing like her voice. Don't be alone. When you're alone, you won't do anything you did with her. So you won't do anything. Marvel at how she, the patient gardener, the bringer of sleep, she who draws the bath and lights the candles, she who made you someone who could make himself into someone, she made you want to live more than anything else. And now, she makes you want to leave the world. Because you've seen it. In her, you've seen the color and shape of your perfect life. And now the children, the house, the arguments about tablecloths are all fading like things left in the sunlight. Like any dream left too long in the light. For months, no, years. Every time you see her, you will want to kiss her. When you do, you will expect pain to come like an old dog you could never quite put down. But there will be none. You will remain yourself. You will remind yourself. She will remind you, and you will remind each other that this is for the best. That you are physically incapable of loving one another, and in those moments, you will be lying. Your heart will be screaming, I can! I can! I can! But you'll stay silent. Because of her. Because she asked for this. Because she filled something in you that's still full. Even though she's gone. Yeah. Let me find another one. That's it. I'm a dork for this poem or poet. He's pretty neat. I can't say all of his stuff on there. You'll have to read it. It's good work, but I don't want to get monetized because of words like that. Anyhow, or demonetized, I should say. But this is Static Electricity by Neil Hilborn. And by all means, look this guy up. He is phenomenal. He's amazing. You'll love him. Okay? In second grade, we did an experiment with static electricity. We rubbed balloons on our heads and stuck them to walls, and kissing you is kind of like that. My hair stands on end. I get shocked when I touch things, and I want to tell you stupid stuff like, kissing you is a bundle of kittens colliding with my face at point 0.5 miles an hour. It's like being shot with a dart gun made of hummingbirds that shoot darts made of hummingbirds. And your lips are so soft, I can't actually tell when we are touching. Like braiding hair underwater. Like napping under a blanket filled with rainbows and clouds. And your favorite books. When you kiss me, the cartoon devil and angel on my shoulder climb into my ears and lick all of my neurons and start doing it on my brainstem. If you were a 300-pound professional weightlifter and I were a Kia Sorento, you could drag me anywhere with your lips. Kissing you is patient and impossibly slow. Like peeling paint off the wall with glittery stickers or cooking a turkey with a lighter. You remind me of the time in second grade when Bethany Hopkirk called me a freak face and stabbed me in the arm with a pencil. Because kissing you is kind of like that. Unhealthy and probably result in disfigurement. But baby, bring on the facial scars and lead poisoning. Because when I'm kissing you, you are dangling me off a bridge by a belt. You are the screen door in my childhood, all taste and swinging, so full of holes you could never keep in anything. You are every black eye. You are a semi-truck, and I'm a turtle with 2 broken legs and a broken heart. You are illegal fireworks falling downstairs together, driving on 4 flat tires, playing frisbee at night with a saw blade. Kissing you is like falling out of a 37-story window, exploding into a cloud of robins, and appearing on the ground with my mouth full of feathers. And when I can't kiss you, I try to find the static electricity in my apartment. I dig around in light sockets. I change light bulbs with my teeth. And I make out with the toaster. And I know we've only been seeing each other for a couple weeks. But baby, when you kiss me, I can't remember my middle name or which one is my left foot. So come over tonight. We'll shuffle around the apartment in our socks, and we'll let our hips drift towards each other like tectonic plates made out of kittens. Yeah, I like that one. It's really nice. Let's see. "11 to read immediately." This is Likeable by Deb Olin Unferth. This is a short story. Flash fiction, I believe. She could see she was becoming a thoroughly unlikable person. Each time she opened her mouth, she said something ugly, and whoever was nearby liked her a little less. These could be strangers, these could be people she loved, or people she knew only slightly, whom she had hoped would one day be her friends. Even if she didn't say anything, even if all she did is seem a certain way, have a look on her face, or make a soft sound of reaction, it was always unlikable. Except in a few cases that she fixed herself on being likable. For the next 4 seconds, more than that was impossible, and sometimes that worked, but not always. Why couldn't she be more likable? What was the problem? Did she not enjoy the world anymore? Had the world gotten away from her? Had the world gotten worse? Maybe, probably not, or probably in some ways, but not in ways that were making her not like it. Did she not like herself? Well, of course she didn't, but there was nothing new in that. Or had she become less likable simply by growing older, so that she might be doing the same thing she always did? But because she was now 41, not 20, it had become unlikable, because any woman doing something at 41 is more unlikable than any woman doing it at 20. And does she sense this? Does she know she is intrinsically less likable? And instead of resisting, does she lean into it, as into a cold wind? Maybe. Likely. She used to resist, but now she sees the futility. So each morning she opens her eyes, opens her mouth. She is unlikable proudly. And each evening before sleep, she is unlikable. And each day it goes on this way, she getting more unlikable by the hour, until one morning she will be so unlikable, inconveniently unlikable, that she will have to be shoved into a hole and left there. That's an interesting take. I actually enjoyed that. That was very... I like that a lot. That was super neat. I support it. Well, for the two of you that joined, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. We're going to be doing some of this continued, and tomorrow is... It's a weekend update. It's going to be telling you everything that's going to be going on, what my plans are for the edited content, and where my updates are on newer, bigger projects, okay? So stay tuned. And thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.